everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Everybody, Cantonese Cat here. If you look at the higher time frame of Bitcoin, there's really not much to really get worried about. It is still a bull trend. I think the bull trend is going to continue. It just made a higher high, and everybody's trying to call a top. After it consolidated sideways here for about 7 months, it finally took off, and now everybody's trying to call a top. If they're not calling a top, then they think that price is going to go down a lot lower. I am not so sure about that because it looks like it's behaving just like what you expect Bitcoin to behave based on cycles, right? Each of the arc over here has served as resistance. And whenever it got rejected at resistance, it does end up going down and hover around for a period of time before it pushed through and then backtest the arc here as support before going up higher, right? Basically, we also got rejected over here in November 2021, came back down, eventually pushed through, found support here at the arc for about 7 months, and we were able to break through. And it looks like it wants to gravitate up towards the next level. Where's the arc above? It depends where it lands, right? Maybe 600,000-700,000. It may not get there. It might end up getting to about 200,000. And that could very well be the end of the cycle. There's a lot of different like Fibonacci levels in between that it could end up being the cycle top, right? It doesn't always have to hit the next arc here, and it can end up hitting any of these kind of fit levels here. 175,000, 200,000, 300,000, 460,000, somewhere around there, and that could be the end of the cycle at any of where those levels. But I don't think the cycle ends there. Because we really have been consolidating sideways here for a very long time. This is Bitcoin. We haven't even really had the parabolic bull phase that had happened pretty much during every single cycle before. So if you're calling this time to be different, I'm just not sure whether or not I really believe you. Because usually whenever it hits the all-time high and whenever it gets to a certain level, it starts to just bring the bullish event down. Because usually that's when more parabolic movement for price usually happens. Now, so far we really haven't had that happening on December. A lot of people are looking at this. This is like a very scary, like gravestone type candle here. So should we be worried? Well, maybe. I mean, first of all, the month is not over yet. You still have about 7 days for Bitcoin. Maybe just end up being a little bit of a doji candle with the candle being very minuscule, maybe a wick above below, a little bit of indecision candle before we go up higher. All price is doing right now is just kind of hugging the upper Bollinger Band, so there's nothing really too entirely concerned. Maybe we end up having a candle that closes kind of like this doji candle over here, right? The other thing too is if you look at, we really haven't had any overbought condition here on the monthly compared to previous cycle. In previous cycle, we really have our cycle to like the 90s here. So usually I would expect Bitcoin to kind of hit up some of these areas up here. The fact that it hasn't really hit those areas and the sentiment is absolutely horrible right now actually goes in favor that Bitcoin is going to keep going higher, and actually makes me extremely bullish. I actually think some of the higher targets are, initially I didn't think it was going to meet. I think initially maybe the cycle just ends around like 175 or 200,000, but the sentiment right now, the fact that it's making all-time high, the sentiment is very poor, things are not overbought, there's like almost clear skies up above. It really makes me think that Bitcoin's going to go a lot higher this cycle. It really does. If you're also looking at a little bit of a different time frame here, let me get rid of the RSI. We'll do a daily chart here. You're looking at a different time frame here. And even just, actually, before I do that, I just want to look at the weekly here to kind of give you a little bit of a perspective. A lot of people are getting used to chopping sideways for a whole year, because that happened to Bitcoin twice during this cycle. One's over here, right? Or for the bulk of 2023, the other time over here for the bulk of 2024. So a lot of people end up expecting a lot of chop and expecting that it's going to chop for a very, very long time. Even over here, it chopped for about 7 weeks. Is this typical for Bitcoin on a parabolic bull trend? No. Bitcoin spent about 4 weeks here, about 4 weeks here. It actually doesn't really spend that much time before it just kind of shoots up. Even the cycle before that, maybe like 8-week consolidation here, and maybe like 4 week, 6 week consolidation, 4 week consolidation. These things happen all the time when it comes to Bitcoin. And so far we've had about 4 or 5, this is like the 5th week of consolidation here. And a lot of people think that it has to like, just keep chopping sideways or go down a lot lower before going higher. It can still wick down lower and grab liquidity. I'm not saying that it can't, but I'm saying that it doesn't have to. That's all I'm saying. Now, if you look at the daily chart here for Bitcoin, let me go ahead and change that to daily. If you look at the daily chart for Bitcoin, I do have a new GAN here. And you can see that this GAN, looking at the much lower time frame, I drew this based on 1440 and 200. And it basically captures the entire time when it consolidates here, here, and here, and here. And so far, we've had a consolidation period that's been going for a long time. And guess what has happened? The consolidation has basically backtested the horizontal line over here as well as the arc over here, right? We could come back and tap the arc in the horizontal line here again, but right now we're more close to support than anything. So could it break down? Sure, it can. A lot of people are calling for lower numbers. There's no guarantee that it's going to end up doing that, right? If you look into weekly here, yeah, a lot of people are saying, oh, there's not really a whole lot of support down here below. Price go back down to like 83,000, 80,000. Price go to like 91,000. A lot of people are calling it lower, which is exactly why I think I'm actually very, very skeptical that we're going to end up doing that. Because if you look at the weekly here, we got rejected where we're supposed to get rejected on top of the arc over here, and also we got rejected at 1.618. But we also found support so far at the 1.414, right? This is basically what it's been doing, is just consolidating sideways over here. And until it breaks out or it breaks down, it's just stuck in a range. There's no reason to think that it's going to break above right away. There's no reason to think it's going to go lower right away. It's stuck in a range, right? So I just don't know whether or not, like the more people calling for lower, the better. Because when prices are about 100,000, a lot of people were saying I was just going to push through, and I was actually like one of the few that are being very skeptical. I think we're at resistance level here. I think it's going to end up going sideways for longer than most people think. And so far, we've gone sideways for about 4 or 5 weeks, and people are going crazy right now because they're now thinking lower. I just don't know whether or not that has to be true. So if you're looking at the Bitcoin dominance, I'm actually seeing something pretty interesting here on Bitcoin dominance. Part of the reason why I think Bitcoin's dropping and the rest of the altcoins are actually holding pretty well today is you actually have a drop in Bitcoin dominance right into the bull market support band, right into the 20-week moving average. And this is just doing a necessary, back test. It broke down underneath and it pushes through back about doing a back test. It's still looking weak. Bitcoin dominance does look really weak. And actually, when Bitcoin dominance looks weak, it's favorable for altcoins to push up higher. At this part of the cycle, I actually would anticipate something like this to happen, right? Because if you're looking at the last cycle, right around November, December, you have a big spike here on Bitcoin dominance, but that's really kind of like the peak of the top, right? And around January, it really just started plummeting from there. Right now, it looks a little bit weaker. Right now, it looks like it had a breakdown, touch the lower Bollinger Band, which it hasn't done for like 2 years, by the way. It hasn't touched the lower Bollinger Band for 2 years. It hasn't really broken really truly below the bull market support band here for almost 2 years. And it did that. Right now, broke through, back test, form a lower high, right? It looks like it might be a little bit of a trend change here. Now, if Bitcoin dominance goes down at this part of the bull cycle, that's usually when things get really parabolic for both Bitcoin and altcoins. And there might be star rotation of liquidity going to from Bitcoin to altcoins. So I'm actually not that worried about this. Going back to Bitcoin here real quick, a lot of people are really scared about Bitcoin because they're looking at the global liquidity index. And they see that it's been dropping. Well, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin has to go down a lot lower because the global liquidity is dropping. The answer is I think it's just simply doing a back test of a breakout. These things happen all the time. It's just doing a little bit of a back test of a breakout, So am I concerned about this? No, I'm not. Has this happened before during a parabolic bull trend where the global liquidity is temporarily going down while Bitcoin just keeps on going up? Yes, there is, right? So, for example, let me try to see here. There's a period of time over here where Bitcoin has broken above this horizontal zone over here. And if you also look at a higher time frame, which I have to do a reset view here, yeah, a lot of people worry about this downtrend right there. It basically is like a perfect back test of a horizontal breakout. So I'm not worried about this. It actually is quite bullish to have something that looks like this. And then over here, this is a little bit different because this is during COVID. You do have a little bit of back test over here too. And that was coincided with the COVID drop over there during that cycle. And if you're looking at the cycle before that, you can also see, actually, you can see that there's a breakout of this horizontal zone over here. And you have a little bit of a dip right there, right? You have a little bit of dip right there. And you have a little bit of dip right there. Bitcoin doesn't care, it just kept going a lot higher. So I actually am not that worried about any potential backtests on the way up. I actually think that this is still a favorable global liquidity condition. If anything, US liquidity is going up. So I am not really that worried or concerned about the way that Bitcoin is behaving right now. So let's look at, technically speaking, what I think. If you look at the daily here, again, you can see that it's really just been backtesting the bottom of the arc. You can keep going down lower, sure it can, but it doesn't have to, right? I already backtest the arc here. And so far, if you also look at the volume, that volume is absolutely pathetic during this downtrend. It's just the volume, there's just no volume, right? I mean, granted, volume can keep going up and you can keep pushing it down, and all of a sudden you can be down like to 70,000 or whatever, right? But so far, there's just no evidence of that happening. If anything, the volume is on this downtrend here over the last few days has been on declining volume. So it tells me there's not a whole lot of like committal selling, to be honest with you. I think they're just trying to buy more, if you will. Because if you look at the 4-hour chart, and this is something that I've been showing to here too. You look at the 4-hour chart, there's actually a lot of buying pressure here on the order blocks. There's a lot of like hidden order blocks right around here, and we're right in the middle of the zone of this big giant order block, right? It bounced over here. So far, I think it's probably going to end up bouncing over here as well. If you also look into the 4-hour chart, I also think that it is looking favorable too in a very short time frame, because I really think that it's just trying to form like a little bit of Adam and Eve double bottom. This is a little bit of a capitulation event here today during the last 4 hours, because we were having like the 20 period moving average is flattening, right? I think we have a much better chance to kind of break above and go up. It's been getting rejected here along. Got rejected over here, high volume sell off, came back to the lower Bollinger Band. So we're finding support, right? I think we're probably going to end up grounding up, because I think that the 20 period moving average is going to end up flattening, and it's going to give us a good chance to like really battle that, reclaim that as support and go higher. Because this is an Adam Eve, that's exactly what it does based on all these Bollinger Band and the moving averages. This is exactly what it does, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking what Bitcoin will do. I think Bitcoin is close to, if not already, have bottomed over here. There's always a chance that I'm wrong and go down to like 80,000s, but I just don't really necessarily think that it's going to happen, because a lot of people on the internets are guaranteeing that is going to happen. So actually makes me feel pretty good that it's not going to happen. Plus, I think that because it's also hitting the low Bollinger Band here on Bitcoin dominance, so I think that it's a lot of things are telling me that I think Bitcoin is probably going to bounce from here, both in terms of the 4-hour chart and the weekly chart. I think it's just getting closer to the support band and 20-week moving average. So with Bitcoin dominance going up, most likely Bitcoin is going to end up bouncing from here. All right. Now the question comes to, what about miners? Well, let's talk about MSTR first. What's happening with MSTR? Very simple. You remember how I said that Bitcoin is stuck between 1.618 and 1.414? What about MicroStrategy? Well, it's doing the same thing right now. If you look at the weekly chart alone, where is it at? Well, it's stuck between the 1.618 and the 1.414. It's just keep bouncing from there. If you look at the Gann square here, well, I'm going to show you the market symmetry of how this Gann square has been looking. This is, I think, this is 360 and 1, pretty standard numbers. It's already outside my square, but I want to keep the square because I really just want to illustrate to you the point that it's been basically hitting from arc to arc, right? Arc resistance, push through the arc, push through this arc here, backtesting the arc. There's really nothing that's really that scary right now. It's backtesting both the 1.414 and the top of the arc right there. It looks like it's holding. So we're at support, and when we're at support, I just don't generally feel the need to be that scared about it. I mean, granted, it could wiggle all the way back down to 1.272, around 244 if it wants to. Maybe there's some like manufactured news event that it wants to just go down and like, be plummeted all the way down, Maybe it ends up doing that. I don't know. But so far, I'm looking at this. I'm not really scared by the price action. It's just basically a lot of people calling lower. It could come back. It can wick back down to like 280 and close the gap. It doesn't have to because it has support. All right. Coinbase. What are we doing here? Gann square, 180 and 2. Where are we at? Do we have good market symmetry? Yes, we do. Arc, right? We bounced from the arc here last week. Right now we're doing a little bit of back test, right? Where's the back test at? Exactly at the arc, right? And how are we doing in terms of fit levels? We're still about the 0.786. We're still back testing the horizontal breakout zone over here. We're still about the 0.786. There's nothing scary about it. I think Coinbase, after it's done this shenanigans, is going to make some all-time high. And I think four-figured Coinbase is going to be in the works. I think MicroStrategy is going to go a lot higher over time too. I think four-figure MicroStrategy is in the works. If you're looking at Clean Spark, what is it doing right now? I got an arc over here. I got the, again, square 180 and 0.2, and I drew it from the cycle bottom. Where is it at right now? Where I got it's pretty good market symmetry here, right? Arc. Horizontal zone got rejected. What did it do? Came back here at 45-degree angle. It's been holding the entire time, holding very, very, very nicely. Sometimes you break underneath it, it's okay. There's no big deal. It's been holding over here. Right now we had a little bit of a breakdown. It looks like it wants to back test the arc down here above. How are we doing in terms of that? How precise are we talking about in terms of that? It's pretty precise. So far it's finding support at the weekly arc, right? So I think that is going to push from here. It's going to bounce back up. It's going to challenge the arc up here around 20. And it's going to break the horizontal zone whenever it decides to do so and go higher. That's what is building up energy to sort of do right now, right? So far, yeah, it's not really doing anything unexpected, I guess I should say. 360, 0.2 for Mara on the weekly. What do we do? What do we get? Pretty decent market symmetry here. You can see how it got rejected, got supported here. The arc rejected your arc almost perfectly, supported arc almost perfectly, pushed through, oscillating around this arc here, getting supported here by the angle. And Mara might end up going down and touch the arc down here around 18.6 is possible, right? A lot of people are going to end up calling it lower to 16. I'm not sure whether or not it has to happen, but so far is serving as like a breakout and a back test of the arc, potentially before it goes and challenge the arc back up here and go further. Right now, the volume is kind of declining during this down leg. So I think Mara looks better than Clean Spark because Clean Spark is still trying to figure out what it wants to do. It also has a lot higher volume over here during this downtrend, but it's going into support zone over here. Mara may be approaching it soon. Bitfarms, what we got here? Bitfarms, I got a little bit of a larger square here, 720 and 0.1. And we can see here is really it's just been going from arc to arc here. Again, some very high volume stuff going on here. I don't know what's going on. So it looks like something big is about to happen, which means maybe a big breakdown or breakout. To me, I think it's because it's been bouncing from arc to arc, and right now we're getting almost to the bottom of range here. The bottom of range, it could go all the way down to maybe like 1.5 to find support. I think it's possible. If it does that, that's fine. It's probably going to be a pretty strong bounce from there to challenge the arc back up here above because it's just stuck in a range, right? Yeah, it's one of the laggards. It is what it is. Cypher, what is it doing? Pretty decent market symmetry. Got rejected here, 0.786. The demon, if you will, because if you break above 0.786, it's going a lot higher. It's going to like 40 if it breaks above that. Not ready yet, right? What is it doing? Come back testing the angle right now. It looks like it wants to probably maybe touch the arc down here even around $5, which is fine. This is still a very, very bullish look because it's been forming mostly higher highs and higher lows. And I think whenever it's built up in that energy over here, it's going to push through the 0.786. Once it does that and push through the arc up here, then lights out, right? You can get to like 30 and 40 here in a hurry. That's what I think about Cypher. Iron, what is it doing? Iron's kind of hanging in space here in terms of the arc. It tries to push through 0.786. Not able to do that once here, twice here. Got rejected at the arc here almost perfectly. What is it doing right now? It's in space. Does it have to come back all the way down to the angle or come back to 0.678 to like $8? Maybe, maybe not. Either way, I don't care. This is a little bit of double top. People are always scared about double top before breakout. I'm not scared about a double top before breakout because it's always a double top before it breaks out. So regardless, is finding is support at the technicals. If you look at the Ichimoku here on the weekly, it's just finding support here at the Kijun, right? So I'm not really that worried about it. I think that it's needing to kind of work out its technicals just like all the other miners. If anything, there's a little bit of a diagonal line over here that I'm not drawing that you can see is finding support at right now, which makes that this is a pretty incredible bull trend. It could end up breaking down. It could end up coming down a lot lower, but it doesn't have to. The bull run support bands all the way down here is getting close to back testing that, so you might end up going down a little bit lower to the bull run support band. It's going to be around like $10, but if it does, I think it's fine. Terra Wolf, what is it doing? Well, Terra Wolf is getting extremely scared right now because it's breaking down a lot of support levels I was looking at today. I think it ultimately might all just end up being like a wake, because honestly, if you're looking at news or whatever, like people already knew that this is going to be going down here, because you already have 2 weeks of selling before this big giant selling candle here happened, right? It's right into the arc that we broke out of, is back testing it. It might just turn out to be a wick. It might just turn out to be a wick. Bull support band is also pushing up. I think eventually this is Monday, I think, and the volume's also pretty pathetic right now, to be honest with you. So I think it doesn't take a whole lot for you to find demand here to push price up a lot higher. But it is what it is. Right now it's broken underneath the arc over here on a Monday, and you got the bull support band rising, also broken underneath of that. Maybe it breaks down, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. There's no way for me to tell. All I know is I did buy a little bit around 5.7, 5.6 today, right at support. It can go down further. That's fine. It can all go all the way down to 0.5. That's fine. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee in life. Just like it breaks above over here, doesn't mean it's going to break above. No, just like it broke above here during this week, above the 0.618 here, doesn't mean it's going to keep going higher. Not necessarily. They're just having a little bit of a breakdown here on a Monday. It doesn't really bother me one way or another. If it goes down, great. If it goes down to $5, I might sell some other stuff. I might buy more. I think it's fine. But yeah, it's finding resistance here, 0.618, which is understandable because you break about 0.618, then you're talking about double-digit wolf, right? But before you do that, you have to come back test some of the support down below, because it's just been rejected here for a very long time. You have a little bit of falling tree. It's falling, but it's finding some support down here, I believe. BTPT, what is it doing? Well, it's kind of broken underneath this angle over here. Does it mean we should be worried? Does it mean it's all go all the way down to like $2.50? Not necessarily, because it broke down over here, Next thing you know, it just goes higher. It's just Monday, right? We'll see. I'm not worried. Cores, where is it at? Finding support here at the bull run support band. Finding support here at the arc. Finding support here at the horizontal candle level, right? You see this the consistent pattern that I'm seeing. A lot of these things have. A few weeks ago, I said they're all battling their demons, right? I said CleanSpark is battling its demon, Marl is battling its demons in terms of the fit levels. Bitfarm has been just battling a demon for a very long time. Cypher is battling its demon at 0.786. Iron is battling its demon at 0.786. Wolf is battling its demon at 0.618. BDBT is battling its demon up here and again horizontal. Cores is battling, the fact that it's just look a little bit exhausted. I had to come back test some things here. Riot is battling arc resistance over here, right? It's also finding support here, but on a support band. So a lot of these things are just doing what they're supposed to. Whenever things get up here, the battling demons down here, they're finding support. Finding support is a good thing, HUD 8 may be a little bit broken underneath, but you have a bull run support band down here below too, which is confluent with this horizontal zone here. It could break down a little bit further, and that's fine. These miners, they can go plus or minus 10-20% in a day. There's really these are nothing. These are really nothing. They all closer to support than their resistance. A few weeks ago they were at resistance. Right now they're closer to support, right? So that's what they're all doing. I'm not sure if this is the time to get scared or get dejected, because the support can always break down. It can always go a lot lower. It's the same stupid sentiment. Sorry, I didn't mean stupid. It's the same silly sentiment that, it's at resistance, but it looks like it's got enough momentum to break through. You don't know that. You don't know it's going to break down any support. So, the next level down below is going to be this. The next level down below is going to be that. You buy here, you're going to regret. I don't know if I would buy into the sentiment right now, because sentiment is extremely poor, especially when it comes to Terra Wolf, which is why I think this week's just going to be a wick. I think this is probably going to find support. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't care. At least I didn't buy up here at around $8. Okay. All right, guys. Just want to share my thoughts here real quick. I'm still very bullish. I don't want to take into consideration too is the IWM, and a lot of people have to take into consideration. Yes, IWM did break underneath the bonus support band. It did that multiple times on this big giant bull run. That doesn't really concern me. What really is what I'm looking at here is the scan level over here, and how it's really been flipping the scan resistance into support, right? And it's just backtesting support. It doesn't always have to backtest support, but it decides to do that. Maybe we'll do that for a second time in a row here. Maybe it goes back to around 218, get everybody all scared, form a wick down here, has a tweezer bottom and go a lot higher. If IWM breaks about this horizontal line over here around 244, then I think it's lights out. Then I think that miner's going to fly. And you're going to sing like that Rocky song, gonna fly now. I think that's going to happen whenever IWM decides that it wants to break above resistance, right? It's exactly the same. Like you can see IWM got rejected over here. Got rejected hard, right? Dropped like 10%, and miners drop a lot more. You would expect that because this is a leverage play for IWM. IWM is a small cap index. It's Russell 2000. I really think that the miners are more like they're more like a call option, if you will, for small caps rather than Bitcoin at this point. And I also think that IWM correlates very well with Bitcoin, by the way. I made separate videos for that. But at this point, yeah, we're having a hard time breaking above all-time high in IWM, and you end up getting punished for it across the board on all miners. Once IWM breaks, all hell breaks loose, I think. Does IWM ever break to the upside? I don't know. It hasn't really been doing that for a very long time, but it's just been building a big giant rounded base over here. So if you're bearish on miners and you're bearish on these speculative small cap stocks, you're probably doing it wrong at support. That's all I want to say. Have a good one. Bye.